Hello friends, I am Arpit and I am here with today's analysis. Today is 23rd of January and we are going to deal with three very important topics which are in news. The Pradhanmantri Suryodaya Yojana. On the very same day of the Pran Pratishthan ceremony in Ayodhya, the Prime Minister on returning back to Delhi launched this scheme. This scheme aims to install rooftop solar panels at least 1 crore houses in the country. Is this first of a kind of this scheme? No, in 2014, the government already launched the Rooftop Solar Power Program. The aim was to install 40 gigawatts of power on the rooftops of the houses in the country. But presently, only 11 gigawatt rooftop solar panel capacity has been installed. So, this Pradhan Mantri Suryodaya Yojana will complement the 2014 program and help in achieving this target of 40 gigawatts by the government. Next is takeaways from the Davos Summit. Davos Summit, the World Economic Forum's annual summit, was conducted between 15th to 19th of January. Talks about artificial intelligence, where usage of artificial intelligence outweighed the risks attached with it. Talks about war and geopolitical tensions also happened, and it highlighted how it is risking the availability of various essential commodities like food, fuel, and fertilizers and all. A very important development with respect to India happened that India and WEF launched a global good alliance for gender equality and equity. The aim is to bring in the best practices from all across the world pertaining to women health, their employment activities, their skill development programs, and such like. It is estimated that if we focus on these areas, we can add $1 trillion to the global economy every year. And finally, we have a follow up news, that is Iran Pakistan tensions de escalate. That is something a good news which is coming into picture, because we've talked about this conflict spilling over into South Asia. But yes, the foreign ministers of both these countries, they talk to each other to de-escalate the tensions. The diplomats were recalled back by both the countries, and means they will be back in their offices, both of these countries' envoys. And the foreign minister of Iran is scheduled to visit Pakistan on January 29th as well. So this is some good news, and we can show it by example that dialogue can resolve conflicts, and timely dialogues. Now, Pradhan Mantri Suryodaya Yojana. On January 22 itself, on the day of Pran Pratishthan ceremony, Pradhan Mantri Suryodaya Yojana was launched to provide 1 crore households with rooftop solar power systems. That is the main aim of this. Now, is this the first rooftop solar power scheme? No. In 2014, the government launched Rooftop Solar Program that aimed to achieve the cumulative installed capacity of 40,000 megawatts or 40 gigawatts by 2022. However, the target couldn't be achieved, and we were only, as of December 2023, we have 11.08 gigawatts installed capacity at the rooftops. Now, Gujarat tops the list in this particular scenario, followed by Maharashtra. The Rooftop Solar Program of 2014. The scheme aims to expand India's rooftop solar installed capacity in the residential sector by providing central financial assistance. It means subsidy will be provided, the financial assistance to the eligible projects as per Ministry of Renewable Energy guidelines. And incentives to DISCOMs. DISCOMs are distribution companies who are distributing electricity. So they will also be targeted, or they will also be benefited, the DISCOMs, and the end users will also be benefited. Some subsidy will be provided by the government. Case by case it depends upon, and the guidelines are there on Ministry of Renewable Energy and Environment, that particular ministry's portal. Now, you need to understand one thing, that these schemes, the 2014 Rooftop Solar Program and the Suryodaya Yojana. Suryodaya Yojana actually aims to fulfill the targets set under this 2014 Yojana only, or this 2014 program only. They are complementary to each other. They are not two separate schemes. You should understand in this way. 2014 solar program was already running. Now, just to give this a push, this Suryodaya Yojana is launched in 2024, and you know, a nationwide awareness campaign will be launched under this scheme, just to make people aware about the benefits of this particular rooftop solar program and make more and more people adopt this. The target is that 1 crore households in the country install the rooftop solar program. Now the program's goal is to increase rooftop solar increased installed capacity to 40 gigawatts by March 2026. This is the same target of Suryodaya Yojana, which clearly testifies that they are not separate schemes but yes, complementary to each other, and it is in its second phase. A consumer can avail of benefits of the scheme through DISCOM tendered projects. First way is this: you approach your DISCOM. DISCOMs are generally under the state governments, and or you can avail the benefits through the national portal www.solarrooftop.gov.in. On the national portal, the consumer has the choice to select any vendor and choose the brand and quality efficiency of solar equipment. Once done, the DISCOM's role is limited. In this case, if you are approaching this portal of the central government, if you are approaching the DISCOMs, then that is everything will be done by DISCOMs. But if you are approaching the central government's portal, then the DISCOM's role is limited to issuing of technical feasibility, approval, installation of net meter, and inspect the system. Now, what is this net meter? We will discuss a bit. Now, after installation and inspection of the system, the subsidy is sent directly to the bank account of the consumer. So let's suppose I decide to, install this solar rooftop at my roof. So I will be getting, after installation, after inspection and all, I will be getting subsidy directly in my bank account from the government. Now, surplus solar power units, if generated from my house, I can sell those to the DISCOMs. Okay. Can be exported to the grid as per the metering provisions. Now, let's suppose the demand of my house is 5 megawatt. Let's suppose I have electricity meter installed by that DISCOM, through which electricity bill comes every month and I pay. Now I have decided to install this solar rooftop also. Now here a net meter will be installed. Now out of 5 megawatt, let's suppose 3 megawatt is generated by that solar rooftop, and only 2 megawatt of my requirement is being fulfilled from the DISCOM's electricity which has been coming to me. So I will be paying bill for only 2 megawatts. Let's suppose in some month my solar rooftop generates 7 megawatts. My requirement is only 5 megawatt. I have 2 megawatt left with me extra. I can sell that to the DISCOMs. The DISCOMs will compensate it in my bill. That is what the net meter will do. The consumer can receive monetary benefits for the surplus exported power as per the prevailing regulations. Now, achievements of the scheme. Now, owing to the scheme, the country's rooftop solar has increased from 1.8 gigawatt as of March 2019 to 11.08 gigawatt as of December 2023. So, drastic, I would say, development, but the aim is 40 gigawatt by 2026. The aim is 1 crore households. Ultimately, the aim is environment conservation. India's current solar capacity, we need to know this as well. According to the Ministry of New and Renewable Energies website, solar power installed capacity in India, total solar power installed capacity is 73.31 gigawatt. Out of this 73.31 gigawatts, rooftop solar installed capacity is 11.08 gigawatt. We saw it in the last slide as well. Now, in terms of total solar capacity, Rajasthan is at the top because UPSC can ask these rankings with 18.7 gigawatt. Total, we are talking about this 73.731 gigawatt, since it is total solar power capacity of the country. So, out of this 73.31, 18.7 gigawatt is in Rajasthan. Gujarat is the second position, 10.5 gigawatt. Now, when it comes to rooftop solar, 11.08 gigawatt, Gujarat tops the list with 2.8 gigawatts, followed by Maharashtra by 1.7 gigawatts. This is basically what the ranking on rooftop solar is. Overall, Rajasthan is at the top, followed by Gujarat. Specifically, when we talk about rooftop solar installed capacities, there Gujarat is at the top, followed by Maharashtra. Now, we also need to see the holistic view that solar, rooftop solar is a subcomponent of it. Solar is a component of renewable energy. Overall renewable energy includes solar plus wind plus I would say small hydroelectric power projects. So all these are there in renewable energy. The total renewable energy capacity of the country currently is around 180 gigawatts. Here we have to reach to 500 gigawatts by 2030. And out of 180, we have 73.3 as solar. So these figures you need to have clear in your head. The targets you need to have clear in your head where we are currently right now. 180 gigawatts. We need to be here 500 gigawatts by 2030 according to our INDCs, that is intended nationally determined contributions. So it is like this. Now, why expansion of solar energy is important? India is expected to witness the largest energy demand growth in the world, and this is according to the World Energy Outlook by International Energy Agency. This report was released, and in that report it says that the largest energy demand growth, if it will be there in any country or region, it will be in India. To meet this demand, the country would need a reliable source of energy, and it can't be just coal plants. Although India has doubled down on its coal production in the recent years, it also aims to reach 500 gigawatt of renewable energy capacity by 2030. I already told you. And definitely, this Pradhanmantri Suryodaya Yojana will help us in reaching this target. Environment conservation will happen. The pressure on other sources of energy like coal-based or nuclear or other non-renewable energy sources will also be reduced because the household demands will be met by solars. So this is the significance of this particular scheme. Now, takeaways from the Davos Summit. Davos Summit annually happens in the, I would say, hill city of Switzerland, Davos. A beautiful city it is indeed. And, every year people from the business backgrounds, economists, politics, all reach there. It is also criticized by many to be a meeting of the elite. But it is important to understand that how the elite think about the problems the world is facing right now and what kind of solutions they are thinking. Because it is from there only solutions can come. And in our previous video on Davos, we have seen how this particular, I would say, forum has been an important platform for not only economic decisions all over the world, but also social and political decisions all over the world. Like, for example, G20 was a brainchild of this particular summit only. Now, there are 5 things which we are talking about, or 5 major key takeaways from the Davos Summit. First is artificial intelligence. Now, when I talk about artificial intelligence, this is a double-edged sword. We've talked a lot about it. Now, there is a lot of potential in this technology, whereas there is a lot of potential to harm in this technology. Now, while its many transformational abilities for human welfare were discussed, so were the need for regulation, fear of job losses, risk of impersonation like deepfakes and all, and misinformation, and the inequalities it can potentially worsen. But the overall mood which was seen was that the positives outweighed the negatives. Means people were promoting more of the positive sides of AI and they called for the need for regulating it. This was also in line with the New Delhi Declaration on Artificial Intelligence, which happened in December, that is global partnership for AI, GPAI summit happened in December in New Delhi, and there also we said that okay, there are positives, there are negatives. We need to promote the positives and we need to regulate this. And similar was, I would say, similar thing was echoed over here in the Davos Summit as well, with respect to artificial intelligence. Next is war and uncertainty. Now, Russia Ukraine was already happening. Israel Hamas, or in the West Asia, it has, started. Now, there is this threat to global supply chains because of these wars. We can already see in the Red Sea how Houthis are blocking, so supply chains are being impacted, and the uncertainty around food security, because food exports are there, particularly from those countries which are impacted like Ukraine and all. Yet no plans or roadmaps for peace were offered about the Israel-Gaza violence. For Russia-Ukraine war, the NSAs of 80 countries met, which we also saw in the last video, and they said that we need to chalk out a formula for peace in Ukraine and where India can be instrumental. But talking about this, so this Israel-Gaza violence, Palestine Investment Fund estimated that at least $15 billion will be required to construct only homes in Gaza, which have been destroyed. Leave other infrastructure like roads and all. Only homes construction, $15 billion will be required. Now, Arab states said that they would not fund reconstruction unless there was lasting peace. Actually, they are right. If they fund tomorrow, again this happens, to their funding will go in vain. So, they first want assurance that there should be lasting peace, and the best way out of assurancing is that you create or you adopt that two-state solution. Israel should be ready to adopt that two-state solution, which was adopted according to the UN plan of 1947, which bifurcated this land, or I would say trifurcated this land into Israel, Palestine, and Jerusalem. The holy city was made as an international zone. But later on, due to the wars, Israel captured all these areas and brought it under its control and defied the two-state solution. But yes, that should be adopted, and India also advocates for this. Climate change. Now, this is something which is almost talked about in almost every global forum. Now, Ajay Banga, the head of World Bank Group, said we had an essential or existential climate crisis on our hands, and a sense of urgency is our only savior. If we do not urgently respond to this kind of crisis, then it would be difficult to survive, especially for our future generations. Second, Belgian trade unionist Luc Triangle. He's from a developed country. Now, what is he saying? You see, developed countries have to assist in the financing of the climate action in the developing countries, because if we don't do that, this inequality will only grow, and you will have winners and you will have losers. Rebuilding trust cannot be limited to only a number of countries, it has to include the whole world. So he's admitting the fact that, climate finance should be transferred from the developed countries to the developing countries, and which has been reiterated in multiple global forums. And he is also acknowledging one more fact, that we have to collectively fight it. It is not only the developed world which will fight it. It should not be like ki developed world is giving the finances and developing world is not controlling its emissions. It is going on emitting because it has to develop. No, there should be some restraint. There should be some responsibility or responsible actions, and those all have to be done by everyone. Now, on China's economy also, a lot of talking had been done, and China's economy is facing a slowdown. China tried to attract more investments from the West, which has witnessed some cooling, especially after the COVID situation. And, there is this sentiment that America is, trying to suppress China's rise, because China is the next big threat to America. With this also, China is battling. So China's economy grew at 5.2% in 2023. It is still below pre-pandemic levels, and it is battling American attempts to isolate it, as evidenced in the semiconductor trade standoff. And in this scenario, India gains a lot. Okay. But we also need to consider that we also have trade relations with China. We should not compromise on that. So, if China's economy is impacted, it has the potential to impact the global economy as well. So, it should be more sustainable. Next is India. Now, a lot had been talked about India's economy as well. Now, there's this consulting firm, McKinsey and Company. It is a global firm, a notable, I would say, firm it is. Now, McKinsey and Company says India is transforming rapidly as one of the fastest growing large economies in the world. When it comes to technology, talent, healthcare, and other areas, its future in 2024 and beyond is worth paying attention to. Technology, digital public infrastructure, the startup ecosystem is there. Talent, we are the youngest population of the world and the largest. Healthcare, Pradhanmantri Ayushman Yojana and all is gaining momentum in the country, and our excessive focus on women healthcare and all is increasing. All the healthcare indicators have improved in the previous year. Our COVID vaccination program was the talk of the town. So it is there. Women empowerment and India. Actually, India and WEF launched this alliance, Global Good Alliance for Gender Equity and Equality. Now, as the name suggests, it is promoting gender equity and equality. And this idea of forming or creating this alliance was from the G20 Leaders Declaration of 2023, which happened in New Delhi. Now, what is the objective of this alliance? The objective of this alliance is to bring together global best practices, knowledge sharing, and investments in the identified areas of women's health education and enterprise. Now, it was also estimated that if we focus on these areas for women, like women's health, education, their skill development, and participation in enterprises, $1 trillion can be added every year to the global economy. This is what the WEF official website claims. And when we were talking about this Global Good Alliance for Gender Equity and Equality. And now the last piece of news, that is kind of a follow-up news. Iran-Pakistan tensions de-escalate. Now this is some good news because last week we saw first Iran attacked Pakistan on Jaish al-Adl, I would say a Sunni outfits basis. In retaliation, Pakistan attacked Iran on the Baloch Liberation Force and the Baloch Liberation Army's establishments over there. Both of these countries claiming that these terrorist outfits or militant outfits were targeting their countries. But now, in a phone call between the foreign ministers of both these countries, the tensions have been de-escalated and announced that their ambassadors would resume their duties after the two countries agreed to de-escalate tensions following an exchange of deadly strikes last week. So this is some good news with respect to this region. Iran and Pakistan invoiced to return to duty as their ties improve. Now the dialogue was, the decisions were announced following a phone call between Mr. Gilani and Mr. Amir Abdullah, the foreign ministers of both these countries. Now Iran's foreign minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian is also due to visit Pakistan on January 29th, following an invitation from his Pakistani counterpart. Now, this particular episode actually highlights the importance of dialogue and the importance of timely dialogue, which can resolve or de-escalate conflicts. Now, if this dialogue would not have been there, then the situation would have got worsened or more complicated, which definitely was not need of the hour because already the world is struggling. The world is struggling since 2022 from the Russia-Ukraine conflict, since October 2023 from the Russia and Hamas conflict. Israel and Hamas conflict. So, this is what we need to understand. And with this, we end today's session. And I will be meeting you tomorrow now with more such informative news pieces. Till then, you guys very well know what to do. Keep studying, keep reading, keep writing, and most importantly, keep revising. Namaste. Jai Hind.